I'm gonna hit him up and go, hey, you know Jimmy from our channel, right? He's like, yeah, yeah. I'm like, yeah. So he has this idea of an adult leader, but he wants the size of a playmat, but he wants it to be a guy. Can you do that?
I mean, we can gender bend if Fluff wants
he
to
could.
play a if he wants to play 21. There's enough Budokan like.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack Production. As you can see, I'm being joined once again by Jake and Jimmy.
What's going on, y'all?
You have no proof of this.
Exactly. Today's another one of those weekly updates, but not just that. Happy holidays for those who celebrate whatever it is. There you go. This video is coming out on the 25th because it happens to be on a Sunday. Got a few things I want to talk about. There are no recording local games because we have no locals on the holiday weekends, and we won't have any locals next weekend either. So it's going to be some fun stuff I'm just going to throw at you all. Hope you enjoy. I do want to do a video with these guys and maybe throw in Nick or someone else about maybe a top 10 again, but top 10 cards, or maybe just do a top 5 cards of our individual favorite cards from the last playset before going into the next playset. But before going any further in content, we had a ban that got hit not too long ago. And this has been a very interesting ban, and I agree and disagree and feel like things could have been done differently. Let's put it that way. Because I think it was Dashi, right? Is that his last name?
Scott Dashi?
Yeah. Scott Dashi. I think he made a comment about the God ceiling being hit, where it's like, you gave us a solution to unisons and then immediately took away the problem.
Yeah.
Like,
my honest belief about God Ceiling is they are going to print a facsimile of God Ceiling that might not be a Saiyan, or like they cut a little bit of the useful tags out of it and make it like 7 or less, or 6 or less, or something more akin to the Frieza charismatic.
I do believe a 7 or less would have been more valuable, or even just making a 1-up, because they hit Yamcha mainly because of a lot of cards coming to next playset involved being played with skill. Like, a lot of cards are just super easy to play by 1 or 2 energy because of skills. And primarily also the Vegito was a big target because of that as well. Like, if Yamcha existed, Vegito would just been dead instantly. But they limited that to 1. But yeah, I feel like they could have maybe adjusted the way Godzilla was read, like 7 or less battle cards, because that has been in counterplays. Like, if this card is yada yada, counterplay that card. I think it's been like that before.
Yeah, I think instead of just a simple errata, they want to remove some of the useful tags that are on the card as well. Like, Trunks' Future is pretty useful. Blue Saiyans are very strong right now. So I think what I hope at least that they're going to do is print a new card with the God Ceiling effect, whether it's tied to a unison or not, I don't know. But it will just have some sort of limiting factor that is stronger than just the 1 counterplay per turn that all the free counterplays have. Interestingly, only Prideful and Charismatic are untouched, right?
Yeah,
correct.
We've seen in the past that Bandai, like with the Videl with Yamcha, you have the Videl, which is like a side grade to Yamcha. It has a bigger cost of having to have a 3-drop unison, plus it's a spirit boost, but you get to neg 20k, and where Yamcha is just free, but it's 15k. So it's like it's a side grade of cards. So I do think we will see side grade options to all of the previous counterplays. Again, with like Scott Dashi said, Bandai has a trend of printing a silver bullet for a card, then banning the card in the next bank. Yeah. We've seen that with Shigesh. That's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head, but we've seen so many. We've seen like Progenitor, we got so many cards that stop 1 and 2 drop swinging, and then they just get rid of the problem of the 1 and 2 drops. Now, what I think the God Ceiling ban was to do, or the God Ceiling ban, not so much in that the card itself was too strong, is that there was a over prevalence of having to print deflect on every
Yeah.
single boss monster in the game. And if there's nothing that will touch a 8 or higher in a way that God Sealing would, then that will in turn boost the power of cards like Crusher Ball and the lower end counterplays that stop the card maybe from, attacking in some way, like tapping it or negging it down to a manageable level. So in a way, it boosts the interaction with your opponent instead of just saying that card does not come into play. And getting your boss monster God Sealed is one of the worst feelings because of so many factors. You put a lot of effort into putting that card on field. In most cases, you're doing that.
Or in some cases, even your secret rare can be God Sealed. I was sitting across from a blue player in a recent game, and I had Army Reborn in hand. I was at 2 life. I had the 5 energy to play it, but I just couldn't cast it because they had a Unison in play. And if that card gets God Sealed, my whole turn is gone, and I just lose on the spot. And that feels really bad to work your whole game plan to play a specific card, and then you just can't cast it because the threat of a card that your opponent might not have, whether or not you know they have it, you know what I mean? Just the card existing makes it difficult. I do think it does kind of suck. I do think blue needs for lack of a better term, a vacuum counter for something with where multiple battle cards are coming into play at once. Like Crusher Ball would do, for yellow.
Like,
Because this
I mean,
yeah.
blue still has desperate measures, and dirty burst, which is good for boss monsters, and floodgate control cards, which is, I guess, a good balance there. I just feel like the Vegeta, Prideful Transformation will still rest any card coming in, but they're still getting those effects on taps. Charismatic Villain was obviously set to be 7 or under for a reason.
Yeah.
So I just feel like it could have been good. Potentially the errata being 7 or less. That way, like Jimmy said, boss monsters could come in play if I have to worry about putting deflect on every single one of them.
I would like to see deflect as a skill be far less prevalent, and I would like to see a lot less of, instead of coming into play, counterplays, because I'd still like to be able to get value off of the cards and still have interaction with my opponent, because that's what's fun about this game. If I didn't want to interact with my opponent, I would go play Pokemon.
Give me 1 second real quick. Sorry.
I know Bancroft's gonna cut this, but Jake, did you get that anal ointment for Bancroft's Christmas present?
Yeah, I got it.
All right, thank you. He's going to get it.
Yeah.
He's running out. We got to special order it.
Amazon's delivering late.
Yeah, and it's weird that dude in India has an Amazon store. Shipping's pretty crazy though, but
It's
like
$86.
yeah, I mean he makes it himself.
Yeah, I mean that was just the shipping. I mean, just to buy it was like $4.
Yeah, it's crazy. You think he's kind of like the cocoa butter flavor?
I don't think he should be eating it. I don't know why it's flavored.
I mean, I thought it was better than menthol.
That'd be tingly. Tingly on the rectum.
Let's move on to the other cards that got hit by this one, and I don't know how prevalent this really is in my opinion. SS4 Son Goku Digging Deep. Yes, I get it's like a pseudo since being initially for free, but my thing is that I don't think that was the problem, in my honest opinion, of SS4. I've always felt like SS4's problem was that the amount of resources it gained from its cards' interactions.
Yes, the card draw was insane in that deck.
And we're wrong. Like, I do feel like the Broly Crown hit helped it a lot, but it just gets so much resources that I feel like this one initial pseudo super combo that most people I felt like played it too. I don't think I saw. And granted, we didn't go to the big events. I don't know if people were actually playing as a 4 of or a 3 of. I feel like everyone I played against played as a 2 of at most.
My original list, I only had 2 in it, and I didn't really see the value in the card at the time. But after I switched over to the Scions variant, where I'm drawing far less cards and I'm being far more aggressive, uh, the digging deep became more and more value to the point where it became a 4 of in my list.
Gotcha.
And it was a limit 1, so once you used 1, you got no value off of it because it was a 0 combo. But what I think it allowed in that deck is that now your opponent in some cases is going to have to be putting more resources to push damage through on the leader, and if you don't want to take that damage, then you're using less cards overall, so you're saving 1 to 2 cards every single battle. So your hand size never really dwindled in the defensive step. And then when you stack this with stuff like the black-red SS4 Gogeta, and then even the secret rare where it gives your leader a boost for the turn, you stack this on top of it, your leader is insurmountable at that point.
That's fair.
So like the card is fantastic. You do have to wait till you're at 4 less life, which was, in my opinion, was a big enough limiting factor because the card was dead like 90% of the game if you played the deck right. But even if you're on your front side, you'd be able to combo, get a +5 for the turn, plus a top 3 search, and a Z charge, which the deck loves its Z energy. Like, I think it's a step in the right direction for Gogeta. I think it hurts. I think for some builds and some Gogeta players that really relied on being able to have that free bean every turn, it's going to affect those players more than the just straight core build of Gogeta.
And just one piece I would like to speculate about. When you Z Awaken, it's just like flipping your leader over, right? Just like regular awakening. So you would, any power gains you would have would carry over, right, to your Z Awaken side. So maybe they wanted the 100k on the Z leader to be like the ultimate max, and maybe people were abusing and going to 105, and Bandai didn't like that playstyle.
Keep in mind, you can always just combo Din, see what we can right afterwards.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I think the biggest hit is that it is a 20k SS4 Goku that is out of the game now. You're not going to have a option to be able to fuse with that particular card.
That is another aspect we didn't discuss.
There are other Goku GTs that are 20k, but in most cases, those are less valuable to run within the deck. So that to me is a big factor, because I cut down significantly on my Goku count in my specific build. So now I'm going to have to find a replacement and possibly have to completely retool my specific build, just so I will be able to get use out of the new Goku GTs that I replace those cards with. So I think all around, like, that's a solid hit, and I don't think it's enough to kill the deck, but I think it's enough to make it a little bit more enjoyable to play against.
Kind of brings it in line with some of the other stuff in the metagame.
For the next one, which kind of wraps up what we've been seeing everywhere in the meta as well, hey Shinron. Yeah, given the ability to give a potentially double strike dragon a crit on turn 2 was pretty nasty to start with.
Fuck that card. Good riddance.
I will say
Moving on.
I will say real quick, I saw someone did say, like, why not just give like activate me and something like that. I think the problem was that it was free, and I feel like it having a cost would have actually made a huge change in that card. Like if it was like 1 energy, limit 1, it's a whole nother story, because it won't most likely be hit on turn 2. It'll be a turn 3 play, and then as playing against a Sin player, you just know to negate the double strikes and the triple strikes, and just go for the single strikes, just damage. But I do agree, like, the fact that how fast this was able to hit a board was pretty nasty to begin with.
I think the true use of this card was, if you have 6 balls, 4 Oceanus, and 4 Haze in your deck, there is almost no way that you can brick out and not awaken on turn 2 if you get fewer than 5 Dragon Balls in your life. And limiting this makes the deck a little bit less consistent, in addition to relieving a little bit of the aggressive pressure, which was two of the things that the deck was really good at, being super consistent, always awakening on turn 2 and just gunning you down, and applying crit pressure with Ice Shenron and this Haze. I think this was the perfect hit to bring this more in line with the rest of the metagame. And I think I always used to say that Red Sin was a turn faster than Blue Gohan, and now I think they're the same speed of deck after this limit.
Yeah, that is definitely counting into the RNG of a card game, which is definitely something you have to think about when balancing. Because if every deck hit perfect every single game, then every deck would be tier 0. So I think limiting the pretty much what Jake was saying, limiting the deck speed in certain cases is really solid. There has been talk. We'll spoil a little bit of the errata onto the Crimson Coup leader, being able to awaken at such a high life total. Why does Sin get to do it when Crimson Coup does not? Because Sin can awaken at 8 life if it has the option to. But if it's a slightly less consistent, that little bit of inconsistency can put it in line.
Here's my thing about those two decks. Like, so those are the 3 battle cards that got banned. Crimson Coup did get eroded to be, you need now be at 4 or less life and place 5 same cards at the same time. So you can't even do it until you're at 4 life. Why not have the caveat like the other decks do? Alternative Awaken, you go down in life.
Down to 6, yeah.
6, 5, 4, whatever it is. Like, I think Crimson Coup could have been fine going down to 5 life, instead of just being on the Awaken. I think Sid needs to go down.
I'm not sure that I would want my opponent picking up 3 life.
That's true.
And then drawing
it does,
3.
It does draw 3. I forgot about that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So that one does seem a little bit more fair, and that one also allows Crimson Coup to. So I feel like there's a level of because people were playing the Smoke Dragon as a way just to mill cards as well, and with doing that, you're also sometimes hitting cards like, oh fuck, I just hit a card that I wanted to hang on to. Now you could play a little bit more like
a mid-range,
yeah, but does that keep the leader? Because does that kill the leader again? And don't get me wrong, I'm still excited to, after how well Crimson Coup did, TCG Metals did bring out a nice gold leader version of that leader, which I did order, and this ban / errata happened before he actually got to printing of those cards, so he's able to fix the wording on those cards so that way it will be what it currently is. And I'm so excited to get that card. I'm so excited to go back to replaying this leader some more. So
I don't think this errata I don't think Soul Striker got killed by its errata.
No.
But people dropped that very quickly. I don't think this leader is dead by any means. I don't even know if some of the builds that people were playing are affected by this at all. And the speed and aggression that most decks have, they can put you at 4 life on turn 2 or 3, which is when Crimson was awakening in some cases. So I don't think this has killed the deck in any circumstances. If you are worried about getting yourself down to 4 life, there are many fantastic blue self-awakeners.
Z deck options.
I don't think it's hurt the deck. It does suck you can't awaken at 8 life and awaken super quickly, and your opponent can stall you out in some cases. But I think it's completely fine. Go buy your metal leaders.
So I want to talk about some of these dash pack cards. We're able to start they're revealing the cards so we can actually read them fully now, which is pretty nice. At the time of recording this, they've only revealed the 4 of them, but I want to talk about the first 2 that were revealed. Set 2 of Zenkai brought out a very nice card that can snipe unisons, which kind of killed, in my opinion, Spaceship. Like, it's a 1-cost unison that it is 1 cost, right? Or is it 4 costs?
It was
That's a 1 cost.
Okay.
It's just a big boy. It can't attack though.
So, in your all's experience, at what point does that unison get? I think it has to have. Is it 7 or less marker? Like, it's a certain marker count.
Yeah, it has to have 7 or less markers, and it has to be a 2 or less specified cost.
So, how fast does it take that deck to get to 8 markers? 2 turns, 3 turns. Like, what is the bare minimum the fastest you could do it in?
Depending. Go ahead, Jimmy.
I was going to say, I feel like I have gotten it on turn 2 before, saying like I have the trios in hand, and then by its own plus and the leader plus. I feel like I have gotten it on turn 2 before, but by turn 3, 100% it's going to have. Because it comes in with 1, you're going to do the plus. You might have another trios to throw under it. Like you can rack up markers on that unison very quickly. So it does give your opponent time to see Smoke Dragon and put it on field. And I was that?
I'll say, especially like, think about this. This is my main point to it. If you're going second against a deck in a best of 3 format, and they side in a Smoke Dragon, they are mulligan 6 cards for that Smoke Dragon to, on turn 2, play it as soon as possible and to snipe your units before you have a chance to fully build, and then that completely cuts that deck down. Like, that deck can't survive then.
Well, the leader, if I'm not mistaken, can
Waken side,
play on the backside can play a copy from the drop area. So maybe in a best of 3 situation, you pivot your strategy to want to go all in on the second copy and maybe not devote a bunch of resources to the first, because there's a lot of ways you could add markers to the unison and keep yourself at least hand neutral. So maybe your strategy becomes like less reliant on the unison, or you're just counting on playing it later in the game in those matchups and just assuming your first copy is just going to die. Maybe you even board in additional copies. Because you boarding in more copies of Spaceship will have less of an impact on your deck, ostensibly, than your opponent boarding in 4 copies of Smoke Dragon. And the hope is that over the course of the game, your deck ends up being more consistent because it has more of the pieces it's supposed to have, and you end up winning before the extra copies of Smoke Dragon become relevant.
Yeah. I will say that in the games where I have my opponent has gunned down the unison, the thing that sucks the most is losing the cards under the unison, and not so much the unison itself, because you do have that replacement effect. It does suck to tap 1 for something you got free at the beginning of the game, but there have been games where it's just like, okay, well, you win because my entire hand was under that unison. Not only did you swing at a wimpy little unison, but you also swung at a 10-card hand and put that in the drop area. So that's what hurts the most in losing the unison. I think the deck is still very strong outside of the threat of a Smoke Dragon.
And these new cards that we got for it, it's actually pretty good, I feel like. So if you guys haven't seen them yet, there's the 3-drop Son Goku Pan Trunks Journey to the Cosmos. It's a deflect unique for 1 energy. As long as you have 2 or more energy, you can play this card underneath the unison. And then when this card attacks, it gets a 5k boost for the turn. And then you choose one of your opponent's battle cards with 15,000 power or less, KO it. Or if this card's power is 25,000 or more, it gains double strike for turn. Or if you have 4 more energy, you can pay 2 red. If you do, you play the 8-drop on top of it and put it to active mode. So initially, it's going to be... And what's great about that is that you swing, your opponent declares a negate before your auto will go off. If they don't negate, you pay the 2 if you have 4 energy. Go straight into the big boy, which I think is a triple strike, if I recall correctly.
Triple attack.
It can become a triple attacker.
Is it a triple attacker? Okay. But still, it still restands it.
Still a lot of pressure.
Like, I think that's really good. I like this for it. And then we also got a Z battle card for it, which I think was really good.
Leader.
Oh, sorry, it's a Z leader, yes. Double strike. Auto choose one of your red unisons in your unison area and place one Saiyan card in your hand under it. When this card attacks, you draw 2, and then add a marker to the chosen card. And then activate may remove this card from the game. Choose with one of your red unisons, specific cost of 1 in your unison area, and add a marker to it, and it gains a barrier until the end of your opponent's next turn, which will protect it from certain things, which I think is really good as well. So I think like adding cards like this to older archetypes is actually really good. We talked about this before. Like anytime they add stuff to newer things, even if it doesn't make it like a tier 0 deck or even tier 1 deck, I just love the idea of getting support for older stuff. I think it's really good. It helps keep things that people like to play still alive.
And Spaceship was one of those decks that me personally, I was really excited to play. And then it just ended up being pretty easy to counter. And I feel like it just never got its day in the sun because more powerful red decks just came out right behind it. And I think these cards are a good attempt at reviving this really unique and fun red strategy.
And I do want to say this does not have a energy cost tied to the Z Awaken, which thank God, because I fucking hate that.
I think it was just 2 Z energy.
Yeah, just 2 Z energy. You have to be at 4 or less, but the deck already runs IPT, so you can take your own life. And it probably actually feels a lot better to use IPT in the deck now because you want to get to 4 life.
Well, there's also the new pan.
Yeah, there is the new pan, yeah.
Yeah, which activate main with a turn if you have 3 or more energy, you switch this card to rest mode, add to 2 cards from your life to your hand, then you choose one Goku GT or Trunks GT from your card in your battle area and it gets an additional 5k for the turn. And it's free to play from underneath your unison as well. So
nice.
And then
all of the pan cards in that archetype are quite good.
Yeah. And then at the time of this recording, we did get 1 blue card, which I do, our buddy Trevor for other channel is a huge player of the Bojack Brigade, which is a blue deck, and I do agree with him. This is kind of what that deck needed, I feel like. So Zangya, I always forget how to say her name correctly. Beautiful Slayer. Barrier auto limit 1 if your leader is Bojack Brigade card and all your energy is blue. When this card is played, you place 1 blue Bojack Brigade card from your hand in your energy in rest mode. Auto KO this card KO this card when you play a blue Bojack Brigade card. That card gains barrier until the end of your opponent's next turn. That's just good. Keeps things alive, keeps things going. It doesn't really affect your energy too much. And you're able to kind of continue that chain.
And the fact that it's coming from the Z deck means you've always got access to it?
Yep.
It's just an objection on legs.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
This card is sick. Like I think the second auto is really, really strong. I wish it was almost like, I don't know how they could word this outside of it being like a permanent effect, or they could have worded it as when you attempt to play or activate a Galactic Buster, Bojack's gain barrier, because this would trigger after your opponent's. If you play it on your opponent's turn, your opponent's auto would trigger first before it gains barrier, which kind of sucks. But you are getting to play cards on your opponent's turn using Galactic Buster and all the other cards that Bojack has access to. So that does kind of suck, but I think this auto is fantastic. I think this card is awesome for Bojack Brigade. Yep. And I'm not even a Bojack player. I kind of hate playing against that fucking deck, but I'm super hyped for this card.
It's got a lot of really tricky tech in it.
Yeah. I don't think he watches our channels, but if he does, we'll say congratulations to Fash Bender. He is a level 0 judge, which is pretty cool. And speaking of which, I can finally apply to be a judge.
Nice.
I've been waiting for 3 years for this, man.
Yeah, judge program's finally back open. That's awesome.
You know they're not going to give it to you. They're going to be like, hey, is that Bancroft from the Attack On channel? They fucking suck.
We hate them.
Yeah. But I'm going to go for it anyways. It's something I've been waiting for 3 years to even just attempt. I still know how to play Digimon pretty well. I'm going to try to just get that judge for Digimon as well, just to have it for no apparent reason. I don't play the game anymore.
You could always go judge events even though you don't play.
We don't have events in Lexington, I don't think.
There's some at the mall, isn't there?
I don't think they do it anymore there, but I can double check.
Oh wow.
Yeah, put a marker here, Bancroft. The judging applications right now are only open for major events. This is not for local judging.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, so this is only for major event and TO for like regionals and shit like that. The stuff for that is going to come out later this year.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, for like local shit.
I'm still gonna try it.
Yeah, might as well try.
Yeah, I mean you keep all this in, but I don't.
We were talking about last week, even though that video didn't get put up, and I kind of made a little small video of it. And I mentioned it. We're trying to do something this coming weekend. Unfortunately, due to fluff scheduling, it's not going to pan out. Also, I think Jimmy has something going on as well on other things, and it's just a really tight window. So we're going to push back our event that we're going to do like a live tournament with some of the our locals, and we're going to push that back to probably spring, so that way Fluff can come in and kind of do commentary with Jimmy on the side. So. Which hopefully
that'll give AOP enough time to buy me the sparkly cowboy boots
In time for new cards to come out.
New cards for sure, yes.
and boots.
So yeah, that's about it. I can't think of else anything that's new that's kind of occurred or anything to bring up. What did you guys do yesterday?
I sat in the fucking dark. That's what I did yesterday.
You lost power. Yeah. Also, for those of you who were affected by the storm, I really do hope you're okay. I was lucky enough to still have power. Jimmy did lose power, but you lost power like after the storm.
We lost power at like 6 o'clock last night.
Man.
Like I thought we made it through all of it, and like I was like midway through a game of Siege, and then just everything went black. I thought I tripped a breaker again, and I looked across the street, and it's like, oh, that house is out, that one's out too. Like, what the fuck? And we were without power for like 2.5 hours.
Oh wow!
And then once it kicked back on, we were good for about 30 minutes, and then it went back out for another 30 minutes. And then we've been good on power since then. But yeah, it happened after the storm. It sucked.
Yeah, I heard they've been doing rolling blackouts to try and get the grid reset, get everybody back up and going.
That might have been what happening. I feel like they usually announce that before it happens, but I mean, shit, it sucked.
I got an email about it.
No, I don't get emails from my electric company. They're not bougie enough for that.
Yeah, so I guess that being said, thank you all for tuning in. I hope you all were safe, and once again, have a happy holidays or whatever it is you celebrate. It's the time for something, I think. I think that's it. Yeah, have fun. God, that melody looks so good. Read your cards, know your plays, and fluff out.